Apparently so.
I'd like to bring up, by the way, my name's Louis C.K., and I had a show called Lucky Louie, and you issued a press release saying a lot of negative things about my show. So I'm on the radio with you. I can't not mention it. I remember one thing you said. You made a list of things that were offensive to Catholics about Lucky Louie, and one of them was an episode we did where I wanted to help my wife have an orgasm before we decided not to have another child until we were having good sex and she was having an orgasm. And you listed that as something that's offensive to Catholics, which I don't understand, because a married couple trying to make sure that their sex life is healthy before moving on to a second child, how can you have a problem with that?
Did I have a problem with that?
Wow. According to your press release.
The Reagan defense, I love it.
That's offensive to Catholics.
Bill, is there anybody that ever does the press releases that you might just kind of glance over and go, all right, and then they kind of, do you word everything accurately? Because what Louis is telling you is the truth. I mean, that really did come out.
Yep.
Well, I mean, listen, I write all my own stuff, so I can't blame it on somebody else.
Have you watched Lucky Louie?
No, I haven't.
Well, that's odd because you wrote that thing.
I quite frankly, I don't recall I did. Why don't you send it to me?
All right. Well, you know.
I'm writing about Arabian horses and bias crimes.
Yeah.
All right, is it probably in your archives on the site? Because it was up there.
Yeah. You wrote it, and it was not nice.
When was that?
Liar.
Over the summer.
He's calling you a liar.
Well,
when the show came out in June.
Yeah, June or July.
Yeah, we're trying to find the actual thing here, Bill, for you.
So
okay.
Just Google Lucky Louie Catholic League.
In the meantime, how is the...
Mr. Donohue, you're not off the hook. We found the press release about Lucky Louie.
Okay, what does it say?
It says that HBO's Lucky Louie is barbaric. Catholic League President Bill Donohue commented on last night's episode of the HBO program Lucky Louie. Blasphemy often tracks obscenity, and Lucky Louie has been obscene from the first episode, so we were due. And then you make a bunch of bullet points of things.
Here's a sample of the 9 previous episodes, but you said about 5 minutes ago you've never seen Lucky Louie.
Yeah.
Well, the fact, you know...
How does that work?
No, because we have staff here look at this stuff. I can't sit around and look at this stuff, but they give me the report. Now, are those bullets inaccurate? Why don't you read them?
So here's one. It says, Louis, the main character, is found blanking in the broom closet doing something with himself. Which, I know now, and that's Catholics don't believe in doing that. And
that's kind of cute.
Yeah, Louis does not want to get his wife pregnant until they figure out a way for her to have consistent orgasms. So what's wrong with that from a Catholic point of view?
Well, we prefer them to be inconsistent. Now, look, you've got some of the bullets there that you probably don't even want to read on the air about some of the stuff.
No, well, but address this one, because these are your words, and you're laughing, but I don't take anything you say about Dakota Fanning seriously, because you don't take this seriously.
Because you couldn't even repeat on the air what I just said, what I just said there, in taking out one of the statements. Right?
We'd like to, but there are FCC regulations in place that are way out of hand.
This is one, it's your words. Louis does not want to get his wife pregnant until they figure out a way for her to have consistent orgasms. That's something you found objectable, made you call my show barbaric. So tell me what's barbaric about that.
I'm bringing attention to something which is patently obscene, and if I have a snide remark and you can't get that kind of humor, I don't know what to do with it.
Now, Bill, here's what
I don't understand that.
Yeah, he's trying to... See, Louis wants your reason why that's something the Catholic League would be interested in, would object to. Why is a guy and a husband and wife having a healthy sex life before they decide to get pregnant? Why is that a problem?
Yep.
Well, quite frankly, the media call me here all day long wanting to know, to give a moral traditionalist view on a particular subject. And so while my orbit is generally anti-Catholicism, yes, of course, we branch out into other areas when you deal with something that's patently obscene.
Are you just
Zero answer.
So you're pretty much just from the school of sex just for procreation?
Well, obviously, the Catholic Church's teachings on that.
Not just for pleasure, so that would be the problem.
We don't defend adultery. Is that what you mean? We don't.
Inside of a marriage.
It's inside a marriage.
Inside of a marriage, two people having sex.
That's the way it should be.
Making a choice not to get pregnant until they're having a healthy sex. That's wrong.
That would be in the best interest of everybody in society.
All right, that's what the episode was about. That's what they were doing.
Yes,
they were married.
I think you're leaving out a few things, a few ellipses here.
No, Bill, actually,
no, we're not.
Some of those other bullets.
I have a question for you too, Bill, because you just said that a lot of times your staff will make points, but then the context is lost. If you're going to quote something and say it's obscene, you should see it in context, because right here there's one you put: a 16-year-old girl offers to perform oral on Louis. Now, you're correct, that did happen, but in the episode, it was about a rebellious teenager running away, and Louie not only didn't accept it, he told his wife that he was disturbed by it, and the wife talked to the teenager and worked it out and tried to help the girl go back home. So the episode was not about being titillating or being dirty. It was about something uncomfortable that happened, and Louie, the character Louie, goes to his wife and tells her.
And we help reform the kid and send her back
home.
It's like a Facts of Life episode.
Yeah, it was just like Facts of Life.
But here's the thing is that you say, you got your guys watch this stuff. You don't even watch it. They prepare a statement, and you say, yeah, that sounds like that's us, and then you send it out, which to me is...
No, wait. Don't put words in my mouth. It depends on
why? The other people did.
Yeah, they put the words in your mouth.
It depends on the show and what's going on. For example, we tape The View every day, and we have somebody watch it. And if Rosie goes off on Catholics again, then obviously I come in and take a look at that little part of it.
Yeah, because that's going to get you more press. I just think that you're a press hound. I don't think you really care about the stuff you say, because you wrote this. You don't remember.
How do you know about motive? Now you're getting into motive.
Well, because you didn't watch the show, and you put out this statement calling it barbaric, which is very strong statement.
Do you guys actually think that anybody who runs an advocacy organization, whether it's GLAAD, ADL, now NAACP, do you actually think that the CEO, I actually write all the news releases, do you actually think that Abe Foxman over at ADL sits around and watches TV about Jews being bashed?
If they write the press release, then they should watch it.
You guys are living in another world.
Yeah, but you wrote it, so you didn't watch the show, and then you wrote the release, which is dishonest.
But you haven't found one thing there in that release that's inaccurate.
Yes, but in context, it's dishonest. If you quote something and you quote it selectively, it can be dishonest because you're quoting out of context. So in the meaning, it's like if someone says, I'm going to kill you to their friend, and then you say that was a murder threat, you're quoting them correctly, but the context you're using it in is dishonest.
Right.
So context does matter,
well,
Bill.
That's what the apologists for Dakota Fanning are saying. You have to look at the context.
You do, though.
Well, rape can actually...
But you do. Everything is
what we're saying.
Well,
in context.
Is The Last Temptation... Wait, I'm sorry. What was the movie with the Christ recently? Is The Passion of the Christ a movie that advocates violence because there was violence whipping Christ? Or in the context of the crucifixion, is that violence acceptable to show in a movie?
Well, there's no question about it. It's acceptable.
Well, then why is the
historical story?
Right. So then why is the context there acceptable and not considered a violent or a gratuitously violent film?
We really have to have all this discussion about oral sex
if you're going to bring
else and these girls coming on to the guy, right?
No, Bill.
That's really important.
I'm talking. So let's just say,
of course it is.
In context,
girls leaving their homes because they're confused and living in a violent place, and then offering oral sex to other men and finding out that was a mistake from a responsible adult is important.
And it's relevant. It's extremely relevant.
And you don't know that because you didn't watch the show, and yet you wrote this.
I don't know what it was. Look, have you seen Dakota Fanning yet?
No, but that's why I wouldn't comment on it. I wouldn't have my organization, if I had one, say anything about it until I saw it.
Isn't that interesting? It was about a year ago. The media kept telling us, you don't have to see the depictions of Muhammad because we made up your minds for you. We think it's offensive.
But because
it's got nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I agree with that.
Let me give you one example. Just imagine this. A white guy is performing oral sex on a statue of Martin Luther King with an erection. Yeah. Now, do you have to actually see it in order to find out that it's ugly?
No, there's a
depending on the context, that could be very interesting.
The context.
Of course, the context. The context of that, by the way, is your bizarre imagination.
Yeah, Bill, come on.
Made that up.
Yeah, you sicko.
I love the guys who say, "What if some guy performed oral on... How would you like that? I don't know. What's your problem that you're even picturing that?
Why don't you explain to African Americans what the context is?
I'll give you a context.
It never happened.
I would absolutely give you a context of how that would go over. If it was on an episode of the Dave Chappelle show when that was on in some type of comedy sketch,
sure.
It would be completely accepted by the black community.
Oh, I don't think so.
I do. No, there would be certain people that would be outraged, but the majority would find it hysterical. Dave Chappelle put out a lot of material that was very would have been racist if it was the other way around.
I beg to differ. I think you're totally wrong on that. Blacks should be outraged and rightfully so.
But you made up the whole thing.
You made it up, Bill.
Happened. And they're making a case on something you made up.
You keep dancing around this whole question of context.
We're not. We're talking about things that actually have context, and you're dancing around them by creating false things that don't have context in reality.
An analogy.
What's that?
I have to give you an analogy.
But
No,
that's
you don't have to.
ridiculous.
You can actually talk about the thing we're talking about. The first time we raised this just to get your reaction on your own words, your only reaction was, well, I don't know, because I didn't see it. Somebody else watched it and told me what was on it, and then
Yeah,
I
but you just rinsed
cooked
it with
this
the
up.
bullets. It seems to me that was sufficient.
Yeah, but
HBO's Lucky
all
Louie
they're-
is barbaric.
all they're saying is I think that they think you should at least watch the thing.
All right, I don't want to take over your show with this, but I think this guy is full of baloney.
Louis, he knocked your show, and you had every right to
I know,
to talk to him about
our
it.
show.
I'm glad we watched what you liked, Louis, and you got a very interesting picture on life. I'll tell you that.
But no, you can't. The context discussion does matter, Bill, because to bash something as barbaric when you took the complete opposite intention of the show, which was
Well, because you
positive
didn't
thing
watch
about a
it.
family.
That's what's wrong with being the president of an organization and saying a very strong and out of context a statement about it without having seen the show yourself.
Well,
It's
all I know is
irresponsible.
That's kind of disturbing that you haven't seen the show.
And then
nice
you
to
write
know
this
that Lucky
thing about it.
Louie likes the child rape movie. That's what I like.
Oh, see, you're
Oh,
just
boy.
you're
That's
an
the next
moron.
statement. That's
You're
the
an
next.
idiot.
That's the next statement in the press release.
You're an idiot.
Lucky Louie
You're
likes
unable to-
child rape.
You're unable to discuss it. You can't defend your own words. You're full of it.
Flick bark worse than bite. Yes,
What?
there's a rape scene, and it goes on about there's no nudity, just seeing her underwear and whatnot. Oh,
So
my-
what? You didn't
please,
see it?
please.
No, you didn't see it. You don't watch the stuff you
My
comment
God.
about.
What
You
a
just
stretch.
you're totally uncredible. You're not
Yeah,
you're not interesting.
You know, quite frankly, every movie that comes down the pike that slams the Catholic Church, you like. There's no question about it.
No,
And
that's
you
not
also-
true. No,
you
that's
also
not
like-
true.
And you also like...
You don't know what I like.
Well, I certainly do. I know you like this movie.
he likes
No,
men.
you don't.
Bill.
I didn't see the movie. You blockhead.
seen it, you lied about it.
I didn't see it. I'm not even interested in it. I'm not even talking about it. I'm talking about my show that you slammed and are unwilling to stand behind your slams because they came from not even watching the show. They came from being president of the Catholic League and wanting it attention. You just want attention.
Well, I'll tell you certainly gave it to me, didn't you?
Yeah, I did because you pooed on my show. You think?
All right, Bill.
Also, by the way, Catholics are wrong about God. Let me just throw that in.
Hey, it's the only true religion, my friend. You burn
the
in
only true religion.
you burn in hell. I'm not.
I'm gonna have a ball there.
All right.
All right, Bill. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll keep tabs on the news and see what pops up about this whole thing.
I'll have to try and keep it in context.
Yeah,
Let's keep it in context, Bill, and go find that horse.
Learn something good.
All right.
Maybe go see the movie.
Take it easy.
All right, there he goes. Bill Donohue from the Catholic League.
Jesus. Wow.
Effing oh.
Wow. Louis just completely called him out on that, and there really wasn't an answer.
That you see, the thing is, I would have been totally happy to debate him about it because look, every one of these points, from a religious standpoint, he might have a point on it. I was really interested.
And if
in
your
hearing
name is on it, you had better be familiar with it.
Totally
Right.
interested in hearing his. If he had said, "Yeah, no, you shouldn't be giving your wife an orgasm," I'd like to hear the Catholic point of view on that. That's interesting, but he didn't. He just said, "I don't watch stuff that I write about." And
the one line subject matter of the show that Jimmy pointed out was a perfect example of context. How when it's written like that, it sounds. This is a gratuitous scene with a young girl, impressionable, and sexual activity with an older man. And meanwhile, the whole thing was about you getting upset by the whole situation and taking care of it, and but taken out of context. And then when he came up with the context of his imagination, it just blew the whole thing apart.
He's got a great imagination, though.
God, wow, huh? Where did that come from?
How great is it that he goes, I never saw the show, I don't remember writing that. And then we got it right here in front of us.
Exactly.
I mean,
no, that's what these guys do, though. If you give them something that's in reality, that they shouldn't have said, they come back with something that doesn't exist and say, "What about this?"
I want to know how you get a statue of Martin Luther King in that state.
Yeah, and then
in the state of arousal.
And then he decides what other people would have thought of it.
Yeah,
like that's his only way to argue back. Yeah, well, I bet if I killed your mother, you would get all weird. And you, well, I guess I would. I'm not sure.
In the right context.
Yeah.
Also, go ahead, Jimmy, go.
And these hilarious Lucky Louie episodes on DVD the 30th.
Oh, that's right.
Nice plug.
January.
That's
next
right.
week. Next, what, Tuesday?
Let's sign a copy and send it to Bill Donohue.
Yeah.
Go ahead. He
Say,
probably
please
would
finally watch
enjoy
this.
watching.
Also, let's not forget that the great Louis C.K. called Bill Donohue from the Catholic League A blockhead.
A blockhead. He was stumbling over curse words, and he goes, blockhead.
Because he wanted to make sure people heard that he, called him a name. So he's like searching for something that would make sense on regular radio.
Nice little rascal's insult.
You can't wait to get over to XM.
You blockhead.
You dink.
Can we please call him from XM so I can try again?
Just unload.
It's painful.
It was like he moved the football when you were trying to kick it.
He was blindsided. It just came together. We were going to have Bill Donohue on the show today. Lucky Louie was stopping in as well. I had no, Louis C.K. was stopping in. I had no idea that he wrote all that stuff about you, so it worked out perfect.
I love when that happens.
I heard his name and I was like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Nice opportunity.
I remember, too, before you even, because Louis held up a sign that said, this guy trashed our show. And I remember before you even said that, I was like, boy, I think I remember him coming into conversation not liking Lucky Louie.
Yeah, no, and like I was saying, if he had responded to the things he said and backed them up, I would have had a civil conversation with him. I wanted to find out why he said them and debate it, because he has a right to those feelings. I was raised Catholic. I mean, it's a religion. But he's just, I didn't watch it. Somebody watched it for me.
There's a
and by the way, what if somebody had oral sex with a
Martin Luther King statue? Where did that come from?
And if Dakota Fanning can get raped, then we should be able to have sex with boys. It made no sense.
It was a wild and woolly conversation.
He must have had a hell of a youth with that imagination.
You know,
alone at night in his bed.
Here's what the problem is.
He's got some great scenarios.
He has a sense of humor, you can tell to some point. But when other people like staffers are writing stuff and he's signing off on it, he wields a lot of power. Mm-hmm. The guy is the guy, believe me, that got us fired. Mm-hmm. It was the Catholic League's input to Infinity Broadcasting that got us thrown off the air. Regardless of if you agree that we should have been thrown off the air or not, I don't even want to get into that. He's the guy that did it, though.
Yep.
He wields too much power to just on a signature be able to have people, condemned.
Well, and the thing about the Catholics is that my grandmother's Catholic, and anything that she's told to believe that has Catholic written on it, she goes, "Oh, okay."
There you
because
go.
They're very devout people, and they're very loyal to their faith. They don't question anything. Yep. So if you put something out, they're going to believe it. So that makes him, very crazy.
And that's kind of the Bill Donohue thing is like, it's fine when he's making jokes about horses fucking guys up the ass and killing them, but then when he's putting out press releases
on it,
getting people, the Davy and Goliath fucking logo at the end of the show on there.
No, I agree with you. You're right. But I'm saying, like, if you look at whether it's Muslims or Jew, any religious guy like that is awful and pious.
Yeah.
At least with him. Anyone else running the Catholic League, you're going to get a guy who is religious and self-right. You can't avoid that.
Stuffed shirt.
But at least with him, you do have the other angle where he will come back and go, all right, look, I didn't see it. Like,
you know what, though? If he had argued about the points, I would have had no... As a matter of fact, I prefer a guy who has those beliefs and puts out a statement and says, this is what our religion's position is on this, to a guy... I mean, imagine a Muslim guy like the guy who said, somebody makes a fatwa on the Danish cartoonist, and you call him up and he goes, oh, I didn't see the cartoon, I just... I don't really look at these things, I
just signed off on his death warrant.
Yes, that's all. It just was I don't think Bill Donohue looks at his things. By the way, what if someone sucked off George Bush in an Easter parade? How would you like that?
You would have his head cut off.
I bet you guys would, you hypocrites.
God damn, that is...